Hi, everyone, and welcome to Grant Writing Solutions, how to write a winning grant proposal that gets funded. Doesn't that sound exciting? This is the time that you're ready to take your steps, not just stand still, but take your steps and you're ready to go on a path and a journey that probably has been in your heart for some time. So we welcome you, and this is an introduction. So we'll tell you a little bit about what's going on and what's a grant and what does that really mean. So you see the sign here that says Welcome Grant Writers. That's you. That's you and what you are about to become and the journey that you're on. I know for many of you this was a huge decision to take this course, but I do believe that there's a something on your heart, that there is a a vision, a dream, or a plan that God has for you. And my journey is to help you get it funded. By the time that you are finished, you will know how to write a grant. You will be a grant writer, and I'm here to help you get through. So, this was a story about my first grant. So, when I was 11 years old, I had this burning question. And while this may look like something else, it had to do with my bird, Petey. Can my 2-year-old bird, Petey, do tricks? That was my question. And in New York City, which by now you might have figured this is where I come from, we had a company called Hart's Mountain. And Hart's Mountain provided not only bird food, but if you were brave enough, you could write to get a book. So I decided to, somebody might know the answer to my question because my family didn't. We never had birds, we had cats. So I do what every grant writer does. And this was my first funder. I pull out my Snoopy letterhead and my typewriter. And I have to say that that typewriter pretty much looked like that. And I began my letter with, and if you see the red and black ribbon in the typewriter, well, that's what I had used. So my letter was on the Snoopy letterhead, and it would, for some reason, it would do red and black. But I thought it matched the roof. So I said to whom it may concern, and I told him about my dilemma with Petey, that I wanted a book to help to do tricks, or is he too old to do tricks? And by the way, he likes cuddle bones and seed bells. And I signed it, Sincerely Yours. 2 weeks later, I get the book on tricks, I get the cuddle bone, I get the seed bell, and my first grant is seeds. And I thought, wow, I'm really onto something here. And from that point on, I began to write for anything that I thought of, anything that I wanted to. Eventually, I began to write grants, and you guessed it. We went from seeds to seed money to resources, and it started that way. So you're taking this course. So what's going to happen? You're going to get a comprehensive workbook, which you should have already. And I want you to start working the exercises that you have in your workbook. You have a welcome manual and you have a workbook. Each module, you're going to get a workbook, and you will have templates and worksheets. Templates for what? Well, templates on certain grant proposals, what they look like, what that's all about. You'll have sample letters, letters to the funder asking, do you fund my dream? Proposals. I'm going to give you winning proposals and see how they are written. And documents, copies of 501c3s and DUNS numbers and a number of other different things that you may need to complete your proposal. It's easier when you see what's been done before than trying to reinvent something. You have an option to receive your certificate of completion and free membership to a private workbook group. We are going to also have 3 live calls, Q&A, where we will be on the live calls together. But at this point, I'd like to say that if you have a question at the end of this module, and you should have it in your workbook as well, you will have an opportunity to either email me or text me or call me. And what I will do is I will post the questions so that everybody in the group can see the question and the response. Because as we go through, I have a feeling you have many questions. So My desire, my hope is that you start thinking now of the kind of grant that you want. I would love it if you could work a grant proposal as we're going through this course. That gives you about 2 months or more that you start a grant and complete the proposal ready to send to a funder. Now think about this. It's going to be a grant that you wrote, which obviously means that you could do it again. So think about, even if you don't have a funder at this point, that you may have a friend who's in ministry you want to write for. Imagine what you could write a proposal for, or there's something that you already know that God has put on your heart, and start thinking about it. Now, what are you going to start thinking about? What does your community need? Now, a community is not just your neighborhood. A community is where a community of people are. It could be a church. It could be a missions trip. It could be a prison ex-offenders program. It could be a literacy program. It could be a children's program. So what does a grant do? Well, a grant is simply a tool that a nonprofit or ministry or an individual will use to address really critical issues within their community. So what is the need or problem you're trying to solve? When I do the grant writing courses live in person, I often ask the question, why are you taking this grant writing course? And ultimately, I ask the question because I want to know, so I could gear some of it to, in case we're missing something. But what I have found out over the years, the question is, what do you want the grant for? And the answers are always from money. Well, I can guarantee you a funder will not give you money if you want money. I know that sounds a little bit bizarre, but what is the need or problem you are trying to solve? For example, I have worked with homeless people a lot. So I would want money to get homeless people housed. You may decide that you know someone who has a daycare center and they have a pretty messed up or no playground for the kids. So you want money to get a new playground. So you heard that Walmart, and we'll talk about Walmart because we're all familiar with Walmart, has a community grant program, which they do. And you write for $10,000 for a new playground. So what's the need? What's the problem that you're looking to solve? Well, one could be that the children need exercise. The second one, that could be that the children need a safe place to play. And that would be your new playground. What problem are you trying to solve? Well, it's the same thing. What's the need? So the need is that you need a new playground because your little guys need a safe place to play and they need to exercise and they need to get out. The problem that you're trying to solve is exactly the same thing. What the need is, they need a place to exercise. So you're going to go to Walmart and you are going to see what the grant requirements are. That's for the next lesson. But for now, I just want you to start thinking about what need or what problem I am looking to solve. So, what is a grant really? Well, defined, a grant is an award of money that allows you or the organization or your ministry to do very specific things that usually meet precise guidelines that are spelled out in painstaking detail to which you must respond to very clearly in your grant proposal. I could almost hear everybody's head turning around as we do this. So a grant, I'm going to see if I can do this, is an award of money which allows you and your organization to do something very specific, not just generalized. I want a playground because it'll make us feel better. No, you want a playground. The very specific thing is for the children. And you're going to meet the guidelines of the funder. So if the guidelines of the funder may say that we only give money for children's health, well, recreation may not be the answer unless you could partner it with health. And the grant application is going to be spelled out into such detail so you have a very specific need for the funder's very specific want. It's going to make sense. It's going to make sense because this is also a question in your workbook, and we're going to work it together. So basically, this is the real deal. A grant is a tool for a change. A grant is going to help make a change. It's the problem, the need, the burden that God's putting on your heart. A grant is a tool, a means to an end. It's not about chasing dollars. It's about getting good results. I'd almost like a t-shirt that says a grant is not about chasing dollars, but it's about getting good results, good changes. It changes lives. It can be a command for change. You have enough resources. It's going to make huge changes. So here's how it's drawn out. A grant provides funding to a specific need. So we established that. And the funder is looking to give a certain amount of money to solve your problem, but it's also their problem. And the funder would like a specific plan on how you intend to spend their money when you implement this plan. So you have an idea. You go to Walmart and you say, I need money for this need. Walmart, the funder, has a specific amount of money that it's going to cost to build a playground in a daycare center, and they will help you solve your need, but their desire and their want to serve their community. But number 3 is the funder would like a specific plan on how you intend to spend their money when you implement their plan. So these 3 steps are huge. What do I want a grant for? What is the funder looking to cover? And 3, how am I going to do it? How do I do this? Just relax. Now just relax, because you will know this by the end. You'll know this in another few weeks. So it starts with a need, a problem to be solved. At the end of today, I want you just to think about a need that you want funded, a problem that needs to be solved. So writing the proposal can sound mysterious. It could sound overwhelming. It's like an old family recipe passed on through the generations with special, unique ingredients. Some of you have different ethnic backgrounds and you make these delicious dishes, but it was passed on to generation. It's different ingredients and makes up different things to make up this delicious one meal that you're going to make. That's a grant. It's step by step. Like a recipe is a cup of this, a pinch of this, a teaspoon of that. That's what your grant proposal is going to be. It's going to be a little bit of this and a little bit of that, a lot of knowing your budget, a lot of knowing your needs. So here's some of the information you're going to need prior to submitting your application. Obviously, your official name, either your name, the name of your organization, the name of your program. Okay? Your address, your tax ID, meaning social security number or corporate tax number, the date of the corporation, DUNS number, we're going to get to that. That's a number that the government requires. A phone, fax, email, and social media information, such as Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Now, what I did leave out here is where it says no 501c3, then you go to a fiscal agent. So what is a fiscal agent? So ABC Church has a 501c3 corporation. ABC Church has a nonprofit corporation. You have an idea to help ex-offenders, but you're not a 501c3, but you're good friends of this church. You write up a proposal, you send it to the funder, and glory, praise the Lord, you get funded. So now you have $10,000 in your hand. You have the church as the fiscal agent. So in other words, the money that you get, you can't take, but you've already said to them, but this church, ABC Church, is going to take my money, they're going to steward my money, and make sure it's distributed correctly according to the grant. And the church may charge 5%, 10%, because they have to keep it as a separate line item. So all this to say that if you are not a nonprofit corporation at this point, don't worry about it. You will find one, and if you can't, I can find you one. So, aside from the other information you will need prior to submitting your application. This is the basic right now, very, very basic. Your mission statement. Your mission statement is what's driving you. Your mission statement is what God is putting on your heart. Your mission statement is what's going to propel you forward. And that's in the workbook. Your vision statement. How are you going to do it? What's your vision for the change? I know that I need a playground, but what's my real vision? How is this going to work out? Is it going to help a child who may be ADHD? Is it going to help a child that's autistic? Is it just going to help a child who just needs to get exercise? And your annual operating budget. How much is this going to cost? And how am I going to get the money? And you're thinking, well, the funder's going to give me money. Well, I will also tell you that a funder is going to ask you, suppose I don't fund you, what are you going to do? And the last thing you ever put in was that I'm not going to do the program. Because if it's really such a need and burden, you're going to find the money, and we will work through that. This is just very basic surface information right now to get you going. So know, what's it going to cost? Try and figure that out. See other organizations who are doing something similar to what you want to do and find out the budget. What kind of programs are you going to offer? So if you're working I know someone who's working with sexual traffic. What programs are they offering? They're offering getting free programs, but they need housing. They need clinical care. So what programs? Well, what clients are you going to serve to? This organization serves basically to clients who are in sexual trafficking, but you may be working with abused women. So it's going to go to abused women. So these 5 things I want you to start thinking about. And these 5 things will appear in different ways and shapes in your workbook. In your workbook, answer the questions, because you're going to find out what you do and who you are, and that's going to really make a difference in everything else that you're writing. Again, what single project or activity do you think your organization, or your ministry needs funding for? I just looked at this little picture here and noticed the cell phone. Is this old or what? Our cell phones don't even look like that. I need funding to get a new picture with a new cell phone. But that would be a perfect example. If you have people who are being abused, they may need a phone. And that may be what you're going to get the money for. So this ends the video for Module 1. Until we meet the next time, know this: there are no silly questions. I'm always happy to help. You have my phone number there. You have my email. And again, email any questions, text or call for any questions that are burning. And I will answer the questions, and I will also send it out via email to all of you, and or put it on the Facebook. Until the next time, be blessed and have a great day. Bye.